Hi, my name's Rachel, and I'm a destination wedding planner. And here are three really simple ways to start planning your destination wedding. Maybe you got engaged in 2019 and you were like, oh, I'll get married in 2020, and then the pandemic happened. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of you still out there trying to plan your destination wedding. And maybe you wanted a local wedding, but everything's changed in the wedding industry. Prices have skyrocketed in the US, and maybe now you're considering maybe I should do a destination wedding. Also, I'm saying maybe way too much, but let's get into it. Your budget. What is your ideal budget for your ceremony? We're going to go over the different ranges for a very healthy budget in different countries, what you can expect. So for $10,000 to $15,000, you can have a very nice destination wedding multi-day event in Mexico, Dominican Republic, and Costa Rica, and it can typically host around 40 to 75 guests. So that's a really good budget, right? If you have a $10,000 to $15,000 budget, but you're like, I kind of want a micro wedding, you can also consider Maldives, Moorea, Bora Bora, Tahiti. It's going to be 20 guests or less, so it is going to be a micro wedding, but you can consider those countries. If your budget is around $20,000 to $25,000 for your destination wedding, you can consider Jamaica, Aruba, and Curacao, and Belize. So you're going to have like full wedding weekends in this price range, easily, happily get everything taken care of. If your budget is $25,000 to $30,000, you can consider St. Lucia, St. Martin, and Turks and Caicos for your destination wedding. The average cost for a wedding in the United States as of the end of 2021, and this is just something I read, but I don't have it to put on the screen or anything, is I think $30,601. So if you want a destination wedding in the United States, Hawaii, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, expect to spend at least $30,000. And then you're going to get even higher when you start going over to Europe. But France, Portugal, Italy, and Greece have very reasonable pricing. So let's compare US to Europe. Like if you want to do a wedding in New York, the venue alone might be $30,000. You can get a villa in France for 8 days for all of your guests for $30,000. So it's kind of a weird situation when you start getting into the US and Europe. Now, if you want a really cool destination wedding that no one's doing yet, please call me because you could probably get married in space if your budget is, I don't even know, maybe $1 million. But if you're like, the sky's the limit with my budget, let's talk about getting married on the Blue Origin. And please call me because I would love to do a wedding in space. That would be so cool. Okay, but that's not that realistic for most of us out there. Okay. So now that you know what your budget is and how it matches to different countries, you can be like, okay, well, my budget is $18,000. I could look at Jamaica, I could look at Aruba, but I probably need to go towards Mexico, Costa Rica, Dominican, or the Maldives. So you have an idea of where you just not need to look. Like your budget's $18,000, you're not going to have a big wedding in Europe. Okay, so now you need to look at your guests' budget. Your guests, you want them to come. They're invited to your wedding. Let's look at their budget. What can your guests in general afford to spend to get to your wedding weekend? So I recommend looking at 3 nights stay once you get into the country and you start looking at different properties maybe. Just go on TripAdvisor or whatever and look up what the average 3-night stay would cost for roughly the date range that you want to have your wedding to get an idea. If it's $400 or $500 a night per person, and that's not something your guests can afford, do not look at the resort wedding venues. Do not fall in love with that property. Look at the price. $200 to $250 is a really good price point to kind of start at to get most of the people to come to your wedding and to be able to easily afford it. That's going to mean they're going to spend maybe around $1,000 to do the whole wedding weekend and back with like airfare and everything. And I have done weddings for less than that in 2021. However, I got COVID pricing. So I've had weddings where it was $100 a night per person at a really nice all-inclusive resort. That's not coming back, people. Don't do that. So $200 to $250 is a good price range to keep in mind when you're looking at the resorts and in the different I can't even talk anymore, in countries. So that's going to get you like a nice 5-star all-inclusive resort, really nice amenities. It's going to get your guests excited to come, and it's something that they can easily afford and budget to pay for, because that's, if you get this booked out about a year out, that's only an additional $100 a month or so that they have to budget for to get to your wedding. Okay, now you need to find the right wedding planner. There are different wedding planners for different reasons. We're going to talk about the different wedding planners, and I'm going to do another video that's like a deep dive into finding the right wedding planner for you. But this is just the general overview. Okay, so there are wedding and event planners who travel. Those are going to be for the higher budget weddings, like you have more than $50,000 to spend, because they are just wedding and event planners. They're going to charge the typical wedding and event planner rates of 10 to 15% of your budget, okay? They're not going to be able to help you or your guests with any kind of travel needs because they are not in that industry. They can help you. Some of them can help you look over the vendor contracts, and they have connections in destination, and they can help do the wedding day ceremony and the reception ceremony. But other than that, they can't do a whole lot. So if you say you have like an uncle who has a villa in Greece, and you're like, okay, well, we're just going to use that villa, but we need help with the wedding day and the ceremony, reception, all of that. Look into hiring an event planner who travels, because they can also come to the area and be your day of coordinator. Now, say you're a couple who travels quite a bit. You have a favorite resort somewhere in the Caribbean or Mexico, something like that. You have a favorite spot. It was where you took your first trip together. Maybe it's where you two got engaged. It's a special place in your heart. Maybe you're friends with some of the staff members there. You already know exactly where you're going to get married. You already know how that resort works. You need a fee-free wedding planner, because that's basically any travel agents. All we need to do for that, we don't need to do any research, so we don't need to spend any extra time. All we're going to have to do is contact our wholesalers and be like, hey, we need contracted rate for these dates, and we need to contact the wedding department at the resort and say, hey, do you have availability for this date or around this date? And then we set up your site inspection, because even if you've been to a property like 10 or 15 times, if you've never been to a wedding at that property, you need to do a site inspection. And also, when you do a site inspection, they typically knock off your wedding package a certain amount of money. So you'll save money. You kind of get a little 3-day weekend. You get to know more about how weddings work at your favorite place. I highly recommend it for everyone. So you need to find a fee-free wedding planner, which is basically any travel agent. They're not going to do anything extra special. They're not going to have a custom website. You're going to have to do something on the knot or the wedding wire. You're probably going to have to hire someone to do your invitations. They're not going to have a whole lot of off-site resources. They're just going to get you your room block and send you to the wedding department at the resort. You already know what you want. That's easy peasy. Now, if you are totally lost on planning a destination wedding, then you really, really, really need to consider a fee-based planner, especially if you want like stuff not included in the typical resort packages. For example, you want a destination wedding in Mexico, somewhere in Riviera Maya, but you aren't familiar with any of the resorts. You've traveled there quite a bit, but you don't know which resort would be a good fit for your group. Maybe you've never stayed at an all-inclusive resort, but you're like, I want an all-inclusive resort ceremony and reception. But then you also are like, I really want a trash the dress underwater photo session in a cenote. And then you're also like, maybe we should all take a ferry over to Isla Mujeres for a day. Or maybe I want to take my bridal party there for a day. Or maybe the groom wants to take all the groomsmen golfing for a day. And you need help arranging all of these other different factors just outside of the room block contract. You need a fee-based planner, because they're going to do a lot of extensive research and have different vendors that they're going to be working with. And typically, a lot of those we don't make any money off of. So it's our time that we are investing to curate your wedding experience. That's when you need to consider a fee-based wedding planner. Okay, so now you need to start finding the right planner for you. How do you do that? We've already talked about the fee-based. We've talked about the fee-free wedding planners based on what your wedding needs are. Start calling wedding planners. Start looking at what our services are. If we don't offer anything on our website in terms of, like, some wedding planners will say, we do not charge a fee, period. You don't need a you don't need a fee. You don't need a fee-based wedding planner. You know exactly where you're getting married. Call them. What do you have available? Can you help me? Then you need to think about, oh, I got to do a whole other video about this. Okay. But anyway, start calling us. So for me, I have multiple package tiers ranging from free all the way up to $3,000 to $4,000 based on what your needs are. So you can take a look. I'm going to put a link down here below of all the lists of my different services and make that decision. And then you can even compare. You don't even have to book a call with me. I don't care. But you can compare it to other planners and be like, okay, well, they're charging this much and she's charging this much. They offer this, she offers that. And you can compare and contrast. I don't care. Like, look at what I have to offer, because a lot of the fee-based wedding planners do not mention their fees at all anywhere on their websites. So use my fees, use my different packages as a compare and contrast, at least. And if you kind of like me, I mean, I have a crappy, dirty kitchen. Look at that sink full of dishes over there. I decided to film everything in my kitchen today. But yeah, if you're like, oh, she seems pretty cool, I could talk to her. Schedule a call with me. I don't care. Anyway, this is being filmed right before Christmas, like December 23rd, 2021. I'm uploading it today. So if you get engaged over this weekend, I'm super excited. Or New Year's, congratulations. If you've been engaged for a while, congratulations. I hope this video took a lot of stress off of you, because I don't want you to be stressed. I want this to be easy and stress-free, okay? I don't know how to do this, but hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you want more content from me. Thanks.